The splash echoed through the cul-de-sac like a gunshot in a library, freezing the annual block party in its tracks. Karen Wilkins stood at the edge of the community pond, dusting off her hands as if she'd just solved world hunger. Well, that's one less eyesore cluttering up our pristine neighborhood, she announced with that saccharine smile that could rot teeth from 20 feet away. The bike, my bike. The one I'd scraped together pennies for after months of overtime, bobbed once in the murky water before sinking like a stone. Laughter rippled through the crowd, nervous at first, then bolder, egged on by Karen's triumphant pose. At least the frogs have a new toy, she quipped, her perfectly coiffed bob not even stirring in the breeze. My mother, standing beside her with a plate of deviled eggs, chuckled along. Oh, Karen, you're too much. But rules are rules, right? Rules. In Willow Creek Estates, rules weren't just guidelines. They were Karen's personal gospel, enforced with the zeal of a medieval inquisitor. I'd lived here for 5 years, ever since inheriting my grandmother's modest ranch-style home. It was supposed to be a fresh start after a messy divorce, a quiet place to rebuild. But Willow Creek wasn't quiet. It was a pressure cooker disguised as suburbia, where every lawn had to be mowed to exactly 2.5 inches. Every mailbox painted eggshell white. And God forbid you parked your car on the street for more than 2 hours. Karen Wilkins, HOA president for the last decade, ruled it all with an iron fist wrapped in floral print gloves. She was the epitome of the suburban overlord, mid-50s. Yoga tone from classes she led, mandatory attendance implied, and always armed with a clipboard and a condescending nod. It's for the greater good, she'd say, finding someone for a slightly overgrown hedge. We have standards here, standards that somehow never applied to her own McMansion at the end of the street, with its gaudy fountain that violated at least 3 noise ordinances. I kept my head down at first, paid my dues on time, mowed my lawn religiously, even volunteered for the neighborhood watch committee. But that bike? It was my lifeline. I worked as a freelance graphic designer from home, and that rusty old Schwinn got me to the library for free Wi-Fi upgrades or the coffee shop for client meetings when my ancient router crapped out. I'd parked it against my garage that afternoon, just for the party. Emily's here, Mrs. Henderson called from her folding chair, waving a plastic cup of punch. How's that little art business going? Dear, before I could respond, it's going fine. Actually, just landed a big logo gig. Karen's voice cut through like a weed whacker. Art business? In Willow Creek. How quaint. She had my bike like it was a biohazard. But really, Emily, we've talked about visible clutter. We hadn't talked. She'd sent a certified letter 2 months ago about unauthorized vehicle storage, which I ignored because, hello, it's a bike, not a semi-truck. The party was in full swing, burgers sizzling on grills, kids chasing fireflies as dusk fell, red, white, and blue banners fluttering from perfectly aligned porches. The air smelled of charcoal and Karen's overbearing perfume, something called authority bloom. I was chatting with Sarah Johnson, the only neighbor who didn't treat me like a pariah, when I heard the scrape of metal on concrete. Through the crowd, I saw Karen wheeling my bike toward the pond. Hey, what are you? I started. But Mr. Thompson, Karen's loyal vice president and resident bootlicker, blocked my path with a plate of ribs. Try these. Emily. They're to die for. By the time I pushed past, it was too late. Splash. The crowd went silent, then erupted in that awkward mix of gasps and giggles. Karen turned, hands on hips. Lesson learned. I hope. Next time, use the approved bike racks in the community shed, out of sight. My cheeks burned hotter than the grill coals. That bike cost $200, 2 weeks of ramen dinners and skip lattes. But standing there, fists clenched, I bit my tongue. Arguing with Karen was like wrestling a greased pig. You'd end up dirty, and she'd declare victory anyway. Sarah squeezed my arm. That's messed up, she whispered. Yeah, it was. But as the party resumed, Karen holding court with her tales of maintaining property values, I felt something shift. Not just pity in the neighbor's eyes, but a flicker of doubt. They'd seen the mask slip, if only for a splash. And me? I just decided, no more playing nice in this petty kingdom. The Willow Creek HOA newsletter arrived in every mailbox like clockwork. A glossy propaganda rag touting community excellence, with photos of Karen cutting ribbons at non-events. Last month's featured her beaming beside a new, no soliciting sign. Caption, keeping our havens safe. What it didn't show was the fine print. Fines for everything from unapproved flower colors to excessive holiday lights. I'd framed my grandmother's old welcome mat, faded but sentimental, on my porch. Karen fined me $50 for non-conforming decor. I paid it, seething. The HOA board meetings were held in the community center. A bland building Karen had redecorated with motivational posters like "Rules Build Respect." She presided from a raised dais, gavel in hand, flanked by her cronies, Mr. Thompson, the accountant who cooked the books, Mrs. Patel, the social chair who spied on everyone, and young Derek, her nephew, who nodded like a bobblehead. Order. Karen banged the gavel, even though the room was half empty. First item, Emily Carter's ongoing violations. I sat in the back, notebook in lap, pretending to doodle. MS. Carter's bicycle was improperly stored, leading to its relocation. Snickers from the front row. This is a reminder. All personal items must be concealed to preserve our aesthetic harmony. Aesthetic harmony. Code for Karen's vision of beige perfection. I raise my hand. Actually, the covenants don't specify bike storage. Karen's smile tightened. The board interprets as needed. Motion to fine MS. Carter $100 for non-compliance. It passed unanimously. That night, I started my ledger. A simple spreadsheet on my laptop. Dates, violations, fines paid. But I dug deeper. The HOA dues, $300 monthly. Funded what? Exactly? Karen's administrative expenses seemed suspiciously high. I requested financials under state law. They arrived redacted, but not well enough. Sloppy redactions revealed lunches at the country club, consulting fees to Derek's failing lawn service. Interesting, I murmured to myself, sipping tea in my dimly lit kitchen. The neighborhood whispered. At the grocery store, Mrs. Henderson cornered me by the produce. That bike thing was over the top. Dear, Karen's getting intense. Intense? Try tyrannical. But I smiled. Oh, it's fine. Rules are rules. Inside, I fumed. Karen's power came from division, pitting neighbors against each other with anonymous complaints. She'd find the Johnsons for their dog's bark, then anonymously suggested it was my report. It wasn't. Sarah confided over coffee. She's got dirt on everyone. Thompson's affair. Patel's tax issues. That's why they follow her. Dirt. I needed dirt. My graphic design work gave me skills, research, patterns, visuals. I started photographing violations, not mine, but Karen's. Her fountain ran 24/7, against water restrictions. Her holiday lights? Blinding, but unfined. Hypocrisy. Thy name is Karen. The block party aftermath lingered. Neighbors avoided eye contact, but some nodded sympathetically. Derek slipped up at a garage sale. Aunt Karen says you're trouble. Better watch it. Trouble? I'd show her trouble. Quietly, methodically. The next meeting, Karen announced a new rule. All exterior modifications require board approval, including paint touch-ups that targeted my faded shutters. Fine, $75. I paid, added to the ledger. But I volunteered for the audit committee unopposed, since no one wanted the hassle. Access granted. The files were a goldmine, padded invoices, donations to Karen's charity, her own pocket. I copied discreetly. Heart pounding. Emily. Staying late. Karen poked her head in. Suspicious. Just organizing. For the greater good. She huffed off. That night, the storm brewed. Whispers to dossier. Patience to plan. Karen thought she'd drown my spirit with that bike. She'd just awakened a flood. The fines escalated like a bad habit. First, $50 for unauthorized garden gnomes, my grandmother's single, weathered elf. Then $100 for improper trash bin placement because a wind gust moved it 2 inches. Karen's letters arrived certified. Her signature a flourish of entitlement. Compliance ensures harmony, she'd scrawl. Harmony. My ass. Willow Creek was fracturing. At the annual HOA election, rubber stamped. Of course, Karen campaigned on upholding traditions. Her speech, we've kept property values soaring by enforcing standards. Unlike some who flout rules. Eyes flicked to me. I smiled serenely from the back. Post-meeting, she cornered me. Emily, dear, if you're unhappy, perhaps Willow Creek isn't for you. Oh, I'm quite attached, I replied sweetly. To my home, that is. Her eyes narrowed. Watch your tone. The board has ways. Ways. Like the anonymous tip that led to a code enforcement visit for my cluttered garage. Open because I was cleaning. The inspector, a buddy of Thompson's, slapped me with a warning. But I recorded it all. Dates, names, connections. Sarah helped subtly. Check the county records, she whispered. HOA filings are public. They were. Discrepancies galore. Dues reported lower than collected. Expenses inflated. Karen's administrative stipend, $5,000 monthly, undeclared. Tax fraud? Bingo. I built my case like a mosaic. Emails hacked? No. Just public forums where Karen bragged about creative accounting. Screenshots saved. Neighbors started confiding. Mr. Johnson, she fined us $200 for our kids' lemonade stand. Said it was commercial activity. Mrs. Patel, cracking. I only stay on the board because she knows about my son's DUI. Blackmail. Classic Karen. I documented. The turning point, the community pool party. Karen, in her floral swimsuit, announced a surprise inspection of backyards. Mine? Non-compliant fencing. It was fine. She demonstrated by pushing my gate hard. It creaked. Fine, $150. Safety first, she simpered. The crowd murmured. Later, Derek drunkenly boasted at the bar. Andy K's got the board locked. Even if someone runs against her, we'll stuff the ballots. Recorded on my phone. Evidence mounted. I consulted a lawyer anonymously. State HOA laws were strict on transparency. You've got a case for dissolution, he said. Dissolution. The nuclear option. But first, erode her base. I leaked tidbits anonymously online. Willow Creek forum posts about questionable finances. Whispers grew. Karen retaliated. A special assessment. $500 per home for pond maintenance. After drowning my bike there? Ironic. At the vote, I spoke up. Can we see bids? Karen snapped. Trust the board. But doubts seeded. Thompson fidgeted. Patel avoided eyes. Post-meeting, Karen hissed at me. Stirring trouble? You'll regret it. Like my bike regrets the pond. I shot back. Her face twisted. That night, a rock through my window. No proof, but her style. I installed cameras discreetly. Footage, Derek lurking. Gotcha. The ledger swelled. 50 pages of dirt. Patience frayed, but I waited. Karen's empire cracked. Neighbors skipped her yoga, ignored her newsletters. She doubled down. New rule banning unsightly vehicles. My old Honda? Targeted. Towed while I shopped. $300 retrieval. Oops, her note said. Better comply. Comply? I'd comply her right into oblivion. The storm dunned. Thunder rumbling. Soon, lightning. The annual HOA Gala was Willow Creek's Oscars. Black tie absurdity in the community center. Toasting achievements with cheap champagne. Karen, in sequins, presented awards. Best lawn to Thompson. Community spirit to herself. I'd prepared a presentation on finances, invited by Patel, who'd flipped after I showed her evidence of Karen's embezzlement. Emily Carter will update on audits, Karen announced tightly, clearly blindsided. I stood, projector ready. Ladies and gentlemen, our dues fund excellence. But let's examine where they go. Slide 1. Pie chart of expenses. 40% administrative, mostly to President Wilkins. Murmurs. Karen, this is unauthorized. Actually, state law requires transparency. Slide 2. Receipts for Karen's spa days. Labeled board retreats. Laughter. Nervous. And this, undeclared income. Her face paled. Questions flew. Is that tax evasion? Why the secret stipend? Karen banged her gavel. Meeting adjourned. But the room rebelled. We want answers. Thompson bolted. Derek sweated. I continued. Blackmail. Ballot stuffing. Selective enforcement. Evidence flashed. Emails. Photos. Recordings. This isn't governance. It's a grift. Chaos erupted. Karen lunged for the mic. Lies. She's a disgruntled violator. Like how you drown my bike for clutter? I countered. The crowd turned. Phones out. Recording. Post-gala. Fallout. Anonymous tips to authorities. Karen's car egged. Poetic. She called an emergency meeting. I'll sue for slander. But Patel resigned on the spot. I'm done covering for you. Thompson confessed to cooking books. Derek ratted her out for the rock. I watched from the back. Calm. Neighbors approached. We had no idea. Oh, they did, but fear silenced them. Now, truth freed. Karen's mask shattered, revealing the petty tyrant beneath. The board dissolved that night. Authorities arrived days later. IRS. State attorney. Raids on her home uncovered more. Falsified docs. Hidden accounts. Arrested in yoga pants. Ironic. Charges. Fraud. Embezzlement. Harassment. Willow Creek side relief. New board elected. Democratic. Sane. I declined presidency. I've got my own life. My design business boomed. Free from fines. Sarah, you did it. Yeah. Revenge. Sir upon cold. The epilogue unfolded like a bad sequel no one wanted. Karen's McMansion sold at auction. Proceeds to victims fund. She got probation. Community service. Cleaning the pond she polluted with my bike. Thompson lost his license. Patel started fresh. Derek? Mowing lawns legitimately. Willow Creek transformed. Rules relaxed. Parties genuine. No more fines for gnomes. I biked again, new one. Shiny. Past her old house. Now a family's haven. Splash memories faded. Replaced by freedom. They thought they'd sunk me. Instead, I rose. Tide turning. My name is Emily Carter. In Willow Creek. Justice isn't blind. It's patient. Watching. Waiting to drown the drowners. The community buzzed with newfound energy after the takedown. But let's rewind to how it all built to that glorious implosion. It started subtly, in the quiet hours when Karen thought no one was paying attention. I'd taken to evening walks, notebook in hand, jotting down every infraction she overlooked in her own yard. The overgrown ivy creeping over her fence. A clear violation of the neat borders rule she fined others for. One night, as the street lights flickered on, I caught her dumping yard waste into the pond. Environmental hazard. Per HOA bylaws. Snap. Photo added to the dossier. Evening. Emily. She called from her porch. Voice dripping honeyed venom. Out spying. Just enjoying the standards you uphold, I replied, waving cheerfully. Her smile faltered. The next day, A new fine arrived, $75 for loitering. Loitering in my own neighborhood? The audacity. But I paid. Biding time. Sarah became my ally, slipping me bored minutes she'd borrowed. Look at this, she whispered over fence chats. They're voting on a dues increase to fund Karen's leadership seminar in Hawaii. Of course. Tropical tyranny. I cross-referenced with public records. No bids. No transparency. Fraudulent. The ledger grew. 75 pages now. Organized by category. Financial. Personal. Legal. I even found old complaints from former residents. Driven out by her harassment. One story. A single mom fined in a bankruptcy over unapproved curtains. Karen had bragged about it at a meeting. We can't have tacky fabrics lowering values. Values. Her only value was control. At the monthly potluck, she cornered me by the punch bowl. I hear you're asking questions about finances. Careful, dear. Curiosity killed the cat, and satisfaction brought it back, I quipped. Her eyes flashed. Don't test me. Test her. She'd been testing my patience for years. That night, my mailbox was vandalized, paint splattered. Cameras caught Derek again. Idiot. I reported it anonymously to the police, tying it to HOA intimidation. Whispers spread. Karen's losing it. Neighbors started small rebellions. A gnome here. Colorful mailbox there. She cracked down. Fines flying. But doubt festered. Mr. Johnson refused payment. Show me the rule book. She blustered. But he stood firm. Inspired. Others followed. The audit committee, now with me as chair, demanded full books. Karen stalled. Confidential. State law says otherwise. I countered an email, CCing the board. Panic set in. She called an informal meeting at her house. Wine and cheese through loyalties. I wasn't invited, but Sarah was. She ranted about you, Sarah reported. Ungrateful upstart. After all I've done for this community. Done? Like drowning community spirit? The plan crystallized, exposed at the gala. I prepped slides. Evidence irrefutable. Lawyer advised. Whistleblower protections apply. Safe. Karen sensed it. Upping harassment. Daily inspections of my property. Your grass is 0.2 inches over, she'd note. Fine, $25. Petty, but each fuel my fire. The night before the gala, she left a voicemail. Back off. Or regret it. Threat documented. The dunning reached fever pitch. Tomorrow. Explosion. The gala's tension was palpable. Chandeliers rented on dues, casting shadows like nooses. Karen's speech droned. Under my guidance. Willow Creek thrives. Thrives? On fear. When my turn came, the room hushed. Let's discuss thriving, I said, clicking to the first slide. Dues collected, $150,000 last year. Expenses, $120,000 unaccounted. Gasps. Karen, outrageous fabrication. Receipts say otherwise. Slide spa bills. Hawaii tickets. Personal enrichment. The crowd shifted. Thompson mumbled excuses. Patel, I didn't know. Liar. Questions erupted. Our money. Resign. Karen's composure cracked. Voice shrill. This is a coup. No, I said calmly. Accountability. More slides. Blackmail emails. Selective fines. Pawn pollution photos. And this, ballot tampering confession. Derek's recording played. We'll stuff him. The room boiled. Karen grabbed the projector cord, desperate. Security. But no one moved. Neighbors stood. Enough. She fled the stage. But the damage was done. Post-gala. Authorities swarmed. IRS audits revealed $200,000 embezzled. State dissolved the HOA temporarily. Karen arrested for fraud. Her empire crumbling. Neighbors cheered as she was led away. Finally, Mrs. Henderson sighed. I nodded. Victory. Bittersweet. The community rebuilt. New bylaws. Fair elections. My home. Peaceful. Bike rides without fear. Karen's fall. Satisfying splash. Rebuilding Willow Creek felt like emerging from a long, absurd nightmare. The days after the gala were a whirlwind of meetings, but this time, democratic ones. Without Karen's iron grip, neighbors shared ideas freely. Let's ditch the gnome ban, Mr. Johnson suggested. Passed unanimously. I chaired the transition committee, ensuring transparency, full financials online. No more secrets. Sarah joked, "You're the anti-Karen." Maybe, but I just wanted fairness. Karen's trial was a spectacle. Headlines screamed, HOA Tyrant busted. She pleaded down to probation, but her reputation sunk deeper than my bike. Forced to sell her house. She moved to a condo. Irony. Under a stricter HOA, Derek got community service. Thompson. Fines. Patel apologized. She had me trapped. Forgiven. My design business flourished. Clients drawn to my tenacity. One gig. Redesigning the community newsletter. Honest edition. Evening rides on my new bike became ritual. Pond glinting innocently. Sometimes I'd stop. Remember the splash. Her smug grin. Now, it fueled gratitude for resilience. Willow Creek bloomed. Diverse gardens. Kid stands. Real community. No more standards masking control. The lesson? Power unchecked rots. Patience topples it. Emily Carter. Free at last. But let's delve deeper into the build-up. The moments that forged the blade. After the bike incident, I didn't rage outwardly. Instead, I observed Karen's routines. Morning jogs where she'd note violations. Afternoons schmoozing at the club. I timed my research accordingly. County clerk's office yielded gems. HOA incorporation papers with forged signatures. Early fraud. Added to ledger. Neighbors' stories poured in anonymously via a burner email I set up. She fined me for my wheelchair ramp. Unsightly, one wrote. Heartbreaking. Used in slides. Karen's retaliation intensified. Petty notes on my door. Anonymous complaints to utilities about my overuse. Bills spiked. But I traced her IP on forum posts. Sloppy. At a board retreat. Excluded. Of course, I accidentally overheard via open window. Emily's a problem. Time to evict. Evict? On what grounds? Fabricated liens. They plotted. Recorded. The net tightened. Sarah smuggled more docs. Expense reports showing gifts to officials. Bribes? Explosive. Lawyer. This is gold. The gala loomed. I rehearsed. Heart racing. Karen's final jab. A $500 fine for defamation preemptively. Laughed it off. Her desperation showed. The night arrived. Tension electric. As slides rolled. Her empire vaporized. Satisfaction? Immense. The immediate aftermath was chaos sweetened by justice. Police reports filed. Media swarmed. Suburban scandal. HOA head in handcuffs. Karen's mugshot. Sans makeup went viral. Neighbors hosted a freedom barbecue, toasting with real cheer. To Emily, our hero, they said. Blushed, but accepted. My ledger became evidence. Authorities praised its thoroughness. You could be a detective, one agent quipped. Maybe in another life. Karen's plea hearing, she sobbed. I was just enforcing rules. Judge, rules don't include theft. Probation. Restitution, $50,000 back to residents. Her fountain? Dismantled. Poetic. Derek flipped fully, testifying against her for leniency. Family ties severed. Thompson's accounting firm tanked. Patel started a support group for HOA victims. Willow Creek's new board, inclusive, with term limits. I stepped back, focusing on designs. Landed a national client, Freedom's Perk. Bike paths added to community plans. My suggestion, riding them. Wind and hair. I reflected, From drowned bike to drowned regime. Empowering. The satire? Society's Karens thrive on unchecked power. But one pushback ripples. Emily Carter, not victim. Victor, diving into the psychological undercurrents. Karen's facade was brittle porcelain. Her confidence? Built on other silence. I chipped it methodically. After each fine, I'd send polite queries. Clarify Rule X? Her responses, increasingly unhinged emails. Typos betraying rage. Saved. Neighbors' defections accelerated. The Johnsons hosted an unapproved block party, defiant. Karen fined them. They contested publicly. Forum exploded. Her yoga class? Empty. Isolation set in. She stalked my socials, blocked. Paranoia peaked. You're plotting, she accused at the market. Projecting, I smiled. The dossier hit 100 pages, timelines, witnesses, affidavits. Lawyer prepped lawsuit for harassment. But exposure first. Gala Eve. She tried bribery. Drop this. I'll waive your fines. Recorded. Declined. The presentation? Masterpiece of irony. Her own words damning her. As a room turned. Her shriek. You'll all regret. But we didn't. Liberation. In a quiet resolution. Willow Creek healed. New traditions. Open forums. Volunteer days without mandates. My home, once a battleground, became sanctuary. Gnomes reinstated. Business thrived. I mentored young designers on resilience. Karen? Spotted at a discount store. Humbled. No eye contact. The pond? Cleaned. Like fished out rusted relic. But symbolic. Donated to a museum of suburban follies. Laughter now genuine. Not nervous. The black humor? Life's Karens drown in their own ponds eventually. Satisfaction. Complete. Emily Carter. Unchained.